What's going on, everybody? Top 10 Pokemon back, and today we are answering the age-old question, which is better, vintage or modern Pokemon cards? Now, is the answer to this question entirely subjective, or can we use several factors to determine which one is superior? So before we make this analysis, I would like you to please give the video a thumbs up and to please be a subscriber if you are not already. I would really appreciate that. So I have come up with 5 categories to utilize for us to determine which is superior. And those categories include value, popularity, scarcity, innovation, and the overall collectability / sustainment of the hobby. So for the first category, we're going to analyze which one is more valuable, vintage or modern. So hands down, right off the bat, the value has to go to vintage. Pretty much every single vintage booster box costs like thousands of dollars. Vintage also holds the record for having the most valuable Pokemon cards in existence. You simply won't see a modern set card or even a modern promo or even a modern sealed product sell for millions of dollars. Of course, some modern cards do have the potential to end up being a lot more valuable, but vintage will always win. Simply because vintage has time on its side. Basically, you can't look at vintage cards or vintage product without hearing a... So the winner of the overall value category has to go to vintage. The next category we're going to cover is the popularity between these two. So recently I put out a poll asking the community which they collected more, and basically which one they were more interested in overall. And out of around 2,000 that voted, it was determined that ultimately modern cards were more popular. Of course, arguably one of the biggest booms, if not the biggest boom that happened to the hobby, happened during a modern era, bringing in more new blood to the hobby than ever before. And the reason why I believe modern is so much more popular is because people can actually afford to buy booster boxes and booster packs of these sets, open them up in hopes to get that grand chase card, including those beautiful alternate art cards. The most amount of views that I get on my own videos come from when I analyze modern cards, not vintage. So it's obvious to me that modern wins the category of popularity. Which brings me to our third category, and that is scarcity. Which are overall more scarce, vintage or modern? Now, vintage sealed product is very difficult to get your hands on, while modern, for the most part, is pretty much available anywhere. You can get it in stores, you can get it online, and it's usually pretty inexpensive compared to vintage. This is also the same for the graded card market. I believe that 10, 15, or even 20 years from now, you're going to be seeing an insane amount of modern graded cards hitting the market. Even more so than we're seeing today. Why? Because the cat's out of the bag. Pokemon is now considered valuable. 20 years ago, for the most part, people weren't hoarding booster boxes, and they weren't keeping their holographic cards they pulled in pristine condition. Nowadays, every time you pull something, it goes into a penny sleeve and then a card saver, and is usually sent off for grading. And although certain cards like alternate arts are very difficult to pull, the graded market for these cards will still become crazy saturated. Just look at the Charizard Holo from Celebration set. That set hasn't even been out for a year yet, and we already have over 3,600 PSA 10 examples of that card alone. Even the beautiful Umbreon VMAX alternate art from Evolving Skies has like over 1,700 PSA 10 examples as well. Which brings me to the question, what are people going to do when they pull a card like that? Send it in for grading. So imagine 15 or 20 years from now, how many tens of thousands of booster packs are going to be opened up, and all those cards are going to flood the graded card market. So I know it was obvious from the start, but the winner of the scarcity category has to go to vintage. On to the fourth category of today's video, and that is innovation. Which has been more innovative in the cards that are developed? Vintage cards or modern cards? And in my opinion, the Pokemon TCG has never been more innovative than it has been in the past couple of years. Pretty much every new set released has some kind of new gameplay mechanic or brand new type of chase card. If you think about it, the first 10 WotC sets really didn't have any different kind of cards other than holographics. Whereas nowadays, Pokemon kind of goes above and beyond to constantly keep new different types of cards coming out. So much so that it can actually be overwhelming. So nonetheless, we must declare the winner of the innovative category, modern. Alright folks, this video is tied 2-2. It all comes down to collectability and sustainment of the hobby. So in this last category, we're going to determine which era, vintage or modern, has the most options for collectability, and ultimately what maintains the health of this hobby. And I believe this category solely belongs to modern Pokemon cards. Modern is the lifeblood of Pokemon. and the health of vintage relies on the health of modern. Modern continues to bring in new interest in the hobby, and also brings back some of the people who had forsaken Pokemon years back. There is just so much to collect when it comes to modern. You have booster boxes, elite trainer boxes, special collection boxes, binder sets, graded cards, theme decks, the list goes on and on. To complete a master set nowadays is like a major accomplishment because there are so many cards in modern sets. Whereas in certain vintage sets, it took like maybe 1 to 2 booster boxes to complete an actual entire master set. And of course, there are pros and cons to both. Sometimes it can be awe-inspiring to actually try to complete some of these modern sets, but there are many avenues to take in order to accomplish this. Bottom line, folks, the Pokemon card hobby is about as healthy as we've ever seen it. And I believe that's mostly due to modern product. The winner of collectability and sustainment goes to modern. So with a score of 3-2, I have determined, at least for this video, that modern cards are the better collectible for the hobby. Thank you so much for watching. I think that both vintage and modern cards are amazing, and I will continue to collect both for many years to come. Let me know what you thought of the video, and let me know what you prefer to collect. Leave a comment below. That's all I got for you, folks. I appreciate you tuning in. I will catch you all in my next one.